Whisper it quietly. Sheffield Wednesday are 3 points away from the playoffs. Could this be the year that Danny Röhl takes the Owls to the Premier League? I can't believe who'd have thought we'd be saying that a year ago. We're talking about playoffs incoming. We're also talking about the legend of Pato. I've got to say, our QPR fans couldn't believe what happened with Patterson at the weekend. Transfer window's closing this week. What is going to happen? That's a big conversation as well. And we've been choosing our worst ever Sheffield Wednesday side the last couple of weeks. This week, we're choosing the worst ever defenders. So join us at the end of the video for that. Thank you very much for watching. This is 20 minutes of Wednesday chat with, of course, Tom, Glyn, and Matt. Drop us a subscribe if you haven't already done so. Right, Tom, let's start with you then, if that's okay this week, young man.
Yeah.
Is Sheffield Wednesday going to be in the playoffs?
I mean, I don't think so at the moment. I think, we've been playing all right, but I think we saw against Bristol, as soon as we take off a few of our better players, it just goes downhill very quick. So unless we're going to buy a few players, I just can't see us getting enough points compared to the top six. I think there's maybe 2 places up for grabs, but I think we need to make signings if we're going to really push for that.
Oh, we can dream though, Tom, can't we? We can. You must have felt after that QPR game, just maybe.
You don't get your hopes up with Wednesday. They'll always bring it home.
That's a fair comment. All right then, Glyn, you're a little bit older. You can be a little bit more excited, can't you?
It's still mathematically possible that we're going to win the league.
Sorry, Mark, if the enthusiasm you were looking for was not a Sheffield
Wednesday fans, come on.
Listen,
come on.
Get your hotel booked. Get your hotel booked. We're on it. We're gonna. I said 8th, didn't I, at the beginning, but no, we're gonna sneak in. Of course we are.
I know, but you look back at games like that Millwall game. Let's look at that Millwall game, for example. If that doesn't happen.
Absolutely,
you'd be in it now. Well, maybe on goal difference, you'd be just outside still, would you?
We fell short on a few games, haven't we? We've kind of thrown points away and lost 2, 4, 6, 8, but probably 10 points along the way, really. If you had them in the bank, then it's a different story, and we start to dream. But we're like we said right at the beginning of the podcast, a mid-table is a successful season for us, I think, and anything above that. And don't get me wrong, I'd love to see us sneak into playoffs and like we've said before, gamble it over 2 games. But what'll be will be. Let's not get carried away. But I'm secretly, fingers crossed, I'm hoping that we sneak in and United sneak out and it's a Steel City final. You never know.
Okay, come on then, Matt. Don't disappoint me here. Come on, you're going to get it, aren't you? There's going to be Sheffield United versus Sheffield Wednesday playoff semi-finals. You're going to get them back to your place and head to Wembley. That's how it's going to rock, isn't it?
I mean, just you making that statement, Mark, makes me feel physically sick. Just at the thought of it. I will say, Mark, because obviously I know often in the past I've been sort of like a bit of a voice of doom and gloom and a bit more, realism, a bit more realism, maybe, Mark.
Okay.
I will say, come back and talk to me at the end of February. If you talk to me at the end of February and we are in a similar position in terms of we are still 3 points off the playoffs, then fine, I'll get fully invested and on board. I am just looking at February and thinking that is a difficult run of fixtures and difficult games that are coming up. Ultimately, to be in with a shout of getting into the playoff and a puncher's chance of it at this point in the season is really, really good. But that pack that is underneath the playoffs is incredibly bunched. And I look at the quality and the depth of the playing squads that are there within that group. I'm not saying that we don't have quality and that our players aren't overperforming, as we've been saying all season. Again, like Tom and Glyn and every Sheffield Wednesday fan that you'll speak to, I think we've just been scarred by quite a bit in the past, and it doesn't, at the minute, with only one loan signing being brought in January, a player who we all already had at the club, and we've then signed them back to the club for the remainder of the season. It kind of feels like there are going to need to be a few investments before I think myself, Tom and Glyn jump on the bandwagon and start booking hotels.
Okay, all right. We'll let you have that then. Let's talk about the QPR result a little bit then. I know it's done and dusted now, but there's some standout performances. I'll throw some names out. Tom, let's talk about Shea Charles, shall we? Rolls Royce is how he's been described to talk to me about when you watch him. Is he one of the few players that gets you out of your seat when the ball's passed to him?
Yeah, I think the main thing is just consistency. I think there's a picture on Twitter going around, and it's like 7.5 out of 10 every single week for the last 20 games or something ridiculous. So I think you can see that he's a Premier League player, and for him to just be in the midfield, next to Bannon, can do his running. Yeah, he just makes the midfield so much better.
We've got to talk about Pato, Glyn, so let's do it. I think on the QPR podcast, so like, we've got Barry Bannon and they've got Pato. I always the average age of the Sheffield Wednesday side, and actually they were running rings around the youthful QPR defenders. It's amazing.
Is the gift that keeps on giving, is Pato. You know, he comes in like a wrecking ball and just bowls people over and rolls them out on the floor a little bit, but he does it really well. And you know, for him to get a goal, and you know, there's talk about him leaving and stuff, I don't know what the guys think, but you know, when he's out there amongst the players that we've got, and I know obviously Bannon's the kind of same age and stuff, but roughly, but he just looks really unfit. He looks, you know, he's a big stocky lad. He don't look like he can go for the 90 minutes, but he does, and he just carries on running and carries on running and carries on running week on, you know, whenever he's on the pitch, whenever he gets minutes. But for him to come on and score, you know, and it's weird because you can roll that back probably 10 years, you know, Bannon, Smith, you know, Pato, and it's the same players, isn't it? So yeah, I'm really pleased for him. Whether he gets a start next week, I don't know, but when he is on the pitch, he gives it his all. He always has, and he always will, and you know, that's all we ask for, you know, as Wednesday fans, that you leave it all out there, and whenever Pato is on the pitch, he does that. He gives it 110% every time.
This tweet, Matt says, I think it was a huge result. So happy for Pato with the absolute pelters he gets on here. Looked pretty solid for once. Lots of standouts across the pitch. Ref was useless as per Shea Charles's Rolls Royce. 3 points away, LA. What about the pelters that Pato gets? I mean, you know, all fan bases have a go at times. Does he shut a few people up this weekend, and deservedly so?
I think it's quite interesting with Callum Paterson, Mark, because actually Callum Paterson is a consistent performer when he's on the pitch. It's just that some days things break for him and sometimes things don't, in terms of, you know exactly what you are going to get playing him. You're going to get a lot of work rate, a lot of endeavour. You're going to get him try certain things throughout a game. I would argue in the time that we have seen him in a Sheffield Wednesday shirt, probably 1 in 4 he has a game like this and it comes off and things break his way and things go for him. Like if you actually go back and look at the second goal, which I'm sure obviously anybody who's listening to this will have seen the goal a number of times, it's an absolutely outstanding touch back inside, puts the defender on roller skates and sends him back out onto Loftus Road, like where everybody's coming in, and then just bends it in the far corner. It's a really, really cultured finish. Run that forward 7 days against Luton, he'll have the same thing and the ball will run under his foot. And that is the thing, and I think why he receives a lot of criticism from Sheffield Wednesday fans. And I wouldn't say that it's unjustified. I would say it's one of those where I think as Sheffield Wednesday fans, the minimum that we expect from you, like most football fans, is that you are working and endeavouring and trying your hardest and giving everything. And every time Callum Paterson is on the pitch, you can see that. The problem is, this is a player who, when he originally made his breakthrough, was a right back, and you're playing him as a forward. Now, we've seen that done with Paul Warhurst many moons ago at Sheffield Wednesday and sold into Blackburn. It never really worked out for him elsewhere and sort of all the rest of it. I have a lot of time for Callum Paterson, but I do think when you come back to the original point that you were talking about, Mark, at the top of the show about playoffs and a playoff chasing side, and you're only 3 points, it's the fact that we are having to still rely on players like Callum Paterson to pull something out the fire like he did on Saturday, as opposed to going out and getting an additional quality player to fill that spot.
Okay, well said, everyone. Obviously we review every single game on the channel, so Tom, we have to have a brief chat, if that's okay, about the Bristol City game. What did we learn from that?
Yeah, I think we just have a lack of squad depth in quality. I think, I think we're in control until Danny made the subs, and I think that's maybe an error on his part, but maybe he was trying to rest those players. But I think you've just got to take the points in the games you've got like nothing's a given in the Championship. So I think we would have won that game if we kept a few of the players on, and maybe it sends a message to Chansiri to invest in a few more players by the end of January.
There was a tweet after Tottenham lost to Leicester, Glyn, that said, "Go and get Danny Röhl or Marty Cifuentes from this." Now, given that Danny Röhl he's beaten him 3 times now, actually, three wins and a draw against. Just got his number. We're back here again. Leicester again. Well, before that, we're circling. Do you think we're getting closer and closer to now the inevitable that the next Premier League job that comes up, he's going to get an absolute look in for now? Pretty much everyone that comes up.
We've said before, haven't we? Is a class act. Is Danny Röhl, and you know what? You can't fault him, can you? If you know, if they're going to back him and give him what he desires, is ambitious, and to feed your ambition, you need the backing, and right, you know, on the right here and the right now, he's not got that. He's dealing with what he's got, and he's doing very, very well with it. So, yeah, I don't want to see him go. You know, I'd love to see him stay absolutely till end of season, 100% next season. Whether we'll keep him for that long, I'm very doubtful. Especially with, you know, unspoken press at the moment. You know, the rumours and stuff that's going around. But he'll do well wherever he goes. He speaks well. You know, players love him. He's got a certain air about him. He's got a certain style of football. He gets the best out of players, and he brings players on, and you know, for any club anywhere, to have that on your CV is an absolute gift. And yeah, I think the time definitely will come. I'm hoping it's later rather than sooner, to be honest.
Okay. Before we get to Luton, the transfer window shut, so Matt, or slams shut. There are 6 clubs in the Championship at the moment that haven't brought anybody in. We know it's well documented as to why you haven't. There we go.
So depressing.
It is, yeah.
Get your pen, Matt. Get your pen.
You like clean sheets, but we don't like this sheet being that clean. What do you expect to happen by Friday? What rumours are we hearing, and how many do you expect to be in?
Did you see that screen, Mark? That's it. No, I'll stop joking around now. We need a centre half. We need a forward. There are a lot of rumours kicking about at the minute surrounding a Japanese defender, Ryo Hatsui, who I think that's how you pronounce the name. I'm not entirely sure. Who has been on trial with the club. The club are very keen to get it done. The player appears very keen to get it done, but of course it's Sheffield Wednesday, so it won't end up getting done. We have had a bid apparently today from Wrexham, or they've inquired about Michael Smith, who also scored at the weekend, who is out of contract in the next 6 months. Bear in mind, Michael Smith scored on Saturday at QPR the previous Sunday when we played Leeds. He was sat at a child's birthday party. So who knows what's going on there. If you are really serious, and we've been saying this for a number of weeks now since the window's been open, if you are really serious about making a push for that top 3, you have to go out and get some players. Now, judging by Chansiri's transfer record since 2010, we are yet to sign a permanent player in January. It is all loans, and it is all, you know, very, very experienced players, or players who are out of favour at their clubs elsewhere, who you can't afford now but are happy to come on loan. You know, you go back all the way to 2020, we brought in Josh Windass, who's still at the club, Connor Wickham, both of whom were out of favour, and a lesser-known Sheffield Wednesday player called Alessio Dela Cruz, who was god-awful. So far this window, we've brought in Shea Charles on loan, a player who you already had at the club. So this is a time now to go out and invest the money. Just when you were mentioning Leicester there, then I thought that's a really interesting situation, because from what I'm hearing coming out of Leicester is they're in a very similar financial situation and a situation off the pitch to us, in terms of there is protests against several of the hierarchy at the club. They're flying very close to the window for PSR. Now, I don't think we are. I just think our chairman has not got the money to be able to do it. It's a really important week for Sheffield Wednesday, and that will give you a real statement of intent as to whether long term, and by long term I mean past the summer, the manager is here or not. Because I think ultimately, as you were mentioning, those clubs, like Spurs won't bat an eyelid at paying 5 million for Danny Röhl. Leicester won't bat an eyelid at paying £5 million for a manager. And if they can't pay it, they'll say, well, I'll tell you what, resign from your post. You walk in here in about 3 hours later, sign it, and we'll give you a fat signing on bonus. It is what it is. But yeah, there has to be investment, because that squad at QPR, fantastic win, is going to be tested and stretched in ways that it hasn't been so far this season.
Yeah. Well said. Thanks so much, you three. And of course, join us next week. It is Luton Town next, Tom. They are in complete disarray. This should be 3 points, shouldn't it?
I mean, I said that 4-0 Luton, but no, I think you'd got to back us for that, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly be in my home accumulators this weekend, you boys. Before we let you go, though, we have been making the worst ever Sheffield Wednesday side over the last couple of weeks, because we're in January. We're nearly out of it, but we're still chugging away. We're to the point where we're looking at the back line this week and looking at the worst ever 4 that we've seen in the blue and white. Glyn, can you possibly kick this one off for us? Have you got any left back, right backs, or centre backs you want to?
I think it was centre back mine. Michael Morrison, if you can remember him. He came with all the promise though, Matt, didn't he? Yeah. I think he's a little bit out of your time, Tom, is he? I don't know.
I know a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It came with all the promise, and he gave great interviews, and all the fans were like, he's going to be future captain of this team, and it was just bad, really, really bad. Just couldn't get anything at all. He couldn't win the ball. He just awful. Just a terrible defender.
Tom, can you add anything?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple. I think Ash Baker, a right back. Yeah. I think the Josh era. As soon as he finished, I think he went down to the National League, which kind of showed the level that he was at. And then I'm not sure if I'm going to take someone's, but Yus van Aken, after he came with all this promise, and then after the Derby game, his career just went off the edge of a cliff. And then, I think we paid a few million for him as well.
Okay, good chance. Matt, can you finish this off?
I'm just checking, Mark. We've got 2 centre halves. We've got a wing back. I am going to give you the biggest name wing back that we signed, who played 45 minutes for Sheffield Wednesday, in Urbi Emanuelson. He came from AC Milan, Ajax, all this pedigree. We signed him from Fulham, and the only appearance he made for Sheffield Wednesday was in the last game of the season, pre the playoffs against Huddersfield. He played 45 minutes, and that was the only football that we saw from him in the Sheffield Wednesday shirt. Notable mentions for Royce Wiggins and also Daryl Lackman, who never made an appearance for Sheffield Wednesday.
He was shipped out after that as well, wasn't he? He'd gone.
Yeah. Gone immediately.
Right. So this team's stinking at the moment. Look at it on paper, isn't it? And it's not quite
finished. They play next week.
Yeah. Next week, we're asking for the least dynamic midfielders you've ever seen at Sheffield Wednesday, and that completes our team. And then we're looking for the worst manager, so we'll do that, of course, as well. And next week is also January Player of the Month. These team are going to choose their player for that, and we're going to review the Luton game as well, and look ahead to the FA Cup again as it rolls around the corner. But not for you guys, because you're not in it, are you? I just realised it. We'll edit that bit out.
Cheers. Midway through that one, Mark.
We didn't like it anyway.
Not to rub it in. Right. I'll talk to commentary about that. Right, see you next week. Thanks, guys.